Hello, I'm going to show you how to do smoothers using the ASA computer programs that interface with Excel and SPSS. I showed you in an earlier video how to integrate them, and so I'm just going to get the ASA interface directly from SPSS here using the procedures I already showed you. I'm going to go through it pretty fast. So I'll hit the ASA option. I'll say OK to the reminder. This is the ASA interface. The smoother programs are under robust statistics. So scroll down to the folder on robust statistics. And then I'm going to get the folder on smoothers. And then we're going to be working with a single predictor. So I'll expand that. And I'm going to show you how to do the lowest smoothing. So I'll choose that program. Down here it says I'm using SPSS data as my input, so I'll hit Run Program. And up comes the interface. Now in the worked example, it looks at the relationship between test anxiety and test performance. So I'll put test anxiety as my predictor and test performance as my outcome. To get detailed instructions on how to use the interface, I could just click the instructions button. It'll tell you everything that I'm going to tell you now and then some. The span option is how smooth you want your smoother to be. It ranges from 0 to 1. When it's equal to 1, you'll have a very smooth smoother, but it can misrepresent the data. And if you have a value of 0, it'll do a good job of representing the data, but the smooth will be very jagged and it'll be harder to see the trend in the data. I interface with programs written by Rand Wilcox from USC. Great set of programs. He's written great books on robust statistics. And he has a set of defaults that he uses. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the default of 0.75. The other parts of the interface down here I'm not going to go over. They're discussed in depth in the worked example, and so I'll leave that for you to get there. So I'm going to hit Calculate. And up comes the output. I get a graph with the smooth on it, and I get some detailed output. Now the detailed output I go over in the worked example, so I'm not going to go over it here. And if we look at the smoother itself, I'll go ahead and close this so we can get a closer look at the smoother. But if you look at the smooth, you see inverted U relationship between test anxiety and test performance. It's clearly nonlinear. And so I would want to model that data accordingly. I'm going to show you something interesting you can do with the smoother. We may want to take this graph and paste it into PowerPoint or into a Word document. And I can do that by just hitting Edit and Copy, and that'll copy it to the clipboard. And let's suppose this has some features in it that I don't like, that I'd like to edit. Like these are the variable names here, and I might want to get more descriptive labels to them if I wanted. So what I do there is I go into a graphics editor and make the edits on that. So I'm going to show you that using Microsoft Paint, which comes with every Windows program. So I've opened up Paint here, and I'm just going to hit the paste button because I had copied it to the clipboard and paste it. And there you see the graph there. And I can move it a little bit if I want to. And I might want to zoom in. So I'll click on View and zoom in so I can see it a little bit better for my editing. I'll straighten that up. And let's suppose I don't like the lines on the outer axes. So one strategy I can do is there's an eraser here, and I can go and click on the eraser and then erase anything I don't like. Or a quicker way, I can hit the Select tool, and I can select this entire axis, and then hit the Delete key. And it'll just cut the whole thing away. And I'll do the same over here. And that might be more appealing to me. I might want to write a more descriptive labels here, so I'll go to the text tool, and I'll draw a text box there, and I'll type in test performance. And then I'll write another one for test anxiety. Now, if I want to change the size of those fonts, I can do that up here, or I can change the font itself using that. And so I'll first of all go and select the test anxiety. Actually, I'm going to get a little less space up at the top. And I'll come down and put it here. And test performance, I'll go ahead and select that. Now I'd like to rotate that text. So I'll come over here to the rotate and rotate it to the left. And then bring it over and put it on top there. And that looks a lot more appealing to me. And then what I can do is I can select the whole graph, which I'll do there, and I'll hit copy. And then I might go into my Word document, so I'll just bring up a blank Word file here, and I can place this where I want it, and then I can hit Control V to paste it, or just do a standard paste, and there it is. And I can highlight it, I can make it bigger, I can center it, and do all the things I would normally do in Word with it, or I could do it into PowerPoint. Okay, so that's just a little extra for you if you want to edit things. I'll go ahead and close all these out. Now, the other program for smoothing that we have is to do multiple group smoothers, which is right below this one. So I'm going to show that program to you now. And I'll click Run Program here, and up comes the interface for it. Now, in the worked example here, we're looking at the relationship between stress and anxiety. So I'll put one as the predictor and the other as criterion. And we're going to see how that, we're going to plot separate smoothers as a function of gender. So I'll put D male as the grouping variable. And D male is scored 0 as females and 1 is males. So the group 1 value that I want to use is 0, and the group 2 value is 1. If I had something like ethnicity and I only wanted to plot groups 1, 2, and 4 and leave out groups 3 and 5, then I would put group 1, number 1, group 2, and group 4 based on the way the data was coded. So it knows to zero in on these two particular values on this grouping variable. I can either show all the scatter on the smoother, or I can suppress the scatter. The last smoother we showed had the scatter on it, but sometimes it's better to suppress the scatter so you can see the trend very clearly. So again, if I hit instructions, it'll tell me how to use everything in depth. So I'm just going to hit calculate, and up comes the output, and as well as the graph. And this tells me my outcome is anxiety, my predictor is stress, my grouping variable is D male, and then the two values are 0 and 1. The zeros are the blue, which is right down here, and the black is the 1, it's the dashed line. So I'm going to close this, gives you the sample size for each. I'm going to close this and bring this over. And again, this is the nature of this smooth suggests there's the function relating stress to anxiety is very different for males and females. That for females, you can see it's relatively flat. There's probably a very, very small increase in anxiety as stress increases, but very, very little. And that line is essentially flat. Whereas for males, it starts out fairly flat, but then starts increasing, much like a power function. And the separation between the two lines is the mean difference between males and females. So down at the low ends of stress, there's almost no difference at all between males and females. And then right around a value of 2, 2.5, you can see that the gender difference becomes larger and larger and larger as you go up to the higher levels of stress. Again, I go through this in the worked example, and it tells you how to interpret everything. Okay, so I'll close this out, close this, and up comes the interface, and I can close it, and we're back where we are, and that's it.